What's going on YouTube? My name is Batman, and today I'm recovering from the worst case of blue balls I ever had after Microsoft teased a major Halo announcement only to reward us all with a wet fart. The Halo campaign evolved remaster that nobody wanted and also that we already have. It was by far the least exciting Halo announcement of all time, and I was there when they announced the cookbook. I think it's safe to say this is the least ambitious thing that a Halo developer has ever attempted. The Halo campaign is terrific, obviously, but it's already been remastered once in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. The remaster was then relaunched in the MCC. I think there are diminishing returns on remastering it a second fucking time, and can't help but think this was a misallocation of developer time and resources. Basically, it sounds like what they're trying to do is introduce Halo to audiences that haven't played it yet. Younger audiences, but also the PlayStation community. As it was announced, this will be the first ever Halo content to launch on PlayStation. And what better way to introduce new peeps to the franchise than to start at the beginning? But it's a weak play. What Halo needs now is boldness and ingenuity, not playing it safe, re-releasing content that has already been re-released. I don't give a fuck about the improved graphics, okay? Halo Infinite is on the Unreal Engine, and I do not think it is that impressive. Not bad, but nothing to write home about. I would say Halo Infinite's 3D environment and objects look like someone took a picture of Roblox and then put that picture in a children's coloring book and it has been colored in by the coolest third grader you know. Halo Infinite looks like it was made out of claymation and the clay is melting slightly. My reaction to what I saw in the gameplay demo has not been much different. It looked to me like the only real impact of the graphical improvements is that everything looks a tad goofier. To this day, I still think Halo 3 is the best looking Halo game. Obviously, more recent titles have the technically superior graphics, which tells me it just comes down to art style. Last time I said this, I know people did screenshots of specific characters' ugly faces, but the reality is if you look at a map like Standoff, Rat's Nest, any of the campaign missions, contrast them to modern iterations, Halo 3 is still the most visually impressive and immersive Halo experience. The truth is, we don't need to see every single blade of hair on a Jackal's chin. We don't need to see every liver spot and bead of sweat on a Marine. What we need is an art style that is true to the original vibe. I feel this way about World of Warcraft as well. The graphics peaked with Wrath, and even though today's graphics have achieved higher technical stats, that original art style is just way more beautiful. I mean, you have paintings, your Monet, your Rembrandts, your Mona Lisa, so many others, that remain beautiful, stunning, and are widely considered the best of the best, even though they are like centuries old and there's been all kinds of new, exciting tech in the arts. I feel the same way about Halo. When they remastered Halo Combat Evolved for the first time, and when they remastered Halo 2, in both cases I thought something was lost, and I still preferred the original artistic interpretation of the Halo universe. You know, those Halo 1 hunters struck genuine terror into me as a child. I couldn't complete the Silent Cartographer solo, not because I lacked the skill, but because I genuinely would get too much fucking anxiety going down into the spooky underground bases to deal with those hulking menaces, so I'd only be able to do it co-op, and if I was solo, I just did the fun beach assault part of the mission and then quit. But after the remaster, the hunters just looked like goofy Pokemon. I thought they totally lost the ominousness that they once had, and I feel that way about all of the remastered graphics. In Halo 2, I thought Sergeant Johnson went from looking like this grizzled veteran mentor type of guy to like a young buck, ambitious kind of guy. It just wasn't quite right. It's like in the process of updating the graphics, they filled in all these blanks that were better off left blank. Sometimes too much detail actually detracts from the visual experience. You want to leave a little to the imagination. This is why sometimes a woman in a sling bikini or the right kind of lingerie will be more visually stimulating than if she were outright naked. It's your imagination filling in the gaps for a more intimate experience. And in the case of Halo, it lets the player's imagination put its own little spin on whatever you're looking at, whatever you'd most prefer. This may be controversial, but the truth is, in general, video game graphics have gotten as good as they need to get. The big technical achievement was getting everything to 60 FPS. After that, all of this moving mountains around so that you can write down a slightly bigger number on the tech stats during promos, it's just all kind of pointless. I don't think graphics need to be much better than like Battlefield 1, Mass Effect 3, Skyrim, Last of Us, all very old games. They don't need to be that much better than Halo 1 Anniversary. You know, the remaster that they are remastering. They keep thinking they can bring games to life by making the graphics look as close to the real world as possible, but in fact they are accomplishing the opposite. There is a reason that so many live-action remakes of anime fail miserably. It's because things that look cool in anime look stupid in live-action, like Dragon Ball Z or Cowboy Bebop. If they ever do a Chainsaw Man live-action, it's going to be so stupid looking. even though the anime is really quite beautiful. So everyone in general needs to quit it with the non-stop circle jerk for better graphics. We've already achieved peak graphics. I don't think it needs to get that much better. If you want better graphics, go outside. Because I'm tired of how much new content these days is really just new graphics on old content. It's a waste of the developer's time and my money. Because great art is about more than technology. It's about heart, it's about soul, it's about love. Halo was once a project made by adult sci-fi fans for adult sci-fi fans. Now it is made by bleebs for bleebs. So basically, I consider this announcement to be a slap in the face. It's almost as bad as when my ex-girlfriend announced she was breaking up with me. I've never felt so disrespected and unseen by Microsoft and 343, or whatever they're calling themselves these days. But because I'm the bigger person, I will go ahead and tell these dumb bitches how to save the Halo franchise. Simply put, it is time for a sequel to the MCC. For those of you uncultured slobs that don't know your Halo history, the MCC came out over 10 years ago. It was genuinely the most broken game launch in AAA history. No part of the game was playable for at least the first 6 months. The ultimate tragedy is that eventually they did turn the MCC into a masterpiece in terms of the sheer volume of content it has to offer, and also the groundbreaking matchmaking system that allows you to custom search multiple game modes across multiple Halo titles all at once, turning the MCC into a central hub for over 7 different Halo games. It's the only game that ever really did that, and it sucks because that honestly should be what we expect from these major franchises that have a dozen sequels or more. The most painful part of how bad they flubbed the launch is that the industry wrote MCC off as a flop, and so nobody ever sought to emulate the truly magnificent product that it ended up being. By the time the game was actually fully functional with no bugs at all, it was years later, and the vast majority of the player base had moved on. I honestly think if MCC had launched as a working product, it would have been massively more popular, and it may well have had more of an impact on the entire industry. And today you might have the Call of Duty collection, the Battlefield collection, etc. And in fact, I would argue these kinds of game hubs should be the industry standard. It's not right how every game we've bought essentially gets deleted after every sequel, because a multiplayer game can't survive without player population, and to acquire new content, they force every player to migrate to a new install. It's planned obsolescence at its worst. It's our tech overlords using capitalist tricks to extract exponentially more wealth out of us, and we shouldn't stand for it. Now that Halo is being opened up to PlayStation, bring the MCC to PlayStation and launch it with a major content update on Xbox and PC simultaneously. Like how Overwatch 2 was just a major update to Overwatch 1. You do it kind of like that. Put Halo 5 and Infinite into the MCC. I miss Warzone. In the future, all major new releases should be added to the MCC hub whenever they are taken out to pasture, because they are no longer the newest new major release. And that's how every game franchise with more than 7 sequels should have to do it. I'm calling on the United States Congress to enact legislation that requires it. The massive influx of millions of PlayStation players will breathe fresh life into the MCC's playlists, which are at present very dead. This would give the game a fresh shot at life that it deserves. This would be proper compensation to those of us who got fucked in the ass 11 years ago during the OG MCC launch. They said the ODST campaign was supposed to make up for it, but I would bet the vast majority of MCC launch victims never even touched the ODST campaign, because who gives a fuck? Making it a sequel and launching that shit could inspire the rest of the industry to take another look at this truly masterful matchmaking hub and maybe inspire other key franchises to follow suit. This is what they should have been doing instead of reskinning Halo 1 for a second time. But who knows, maybe this whole thing is some sort of trial balloon. Maybe if enough people play it, they will launch MCC on PlayStation. So I guess I'll see you all on the blandest title game there ever was, Halo Campaign Evolved.